Hello, hello, everyone. We are live for Positive Talk episode 213. That's crazy. It's a little early, too. Just woke up, got a couple things done, and now we're ready for live. Hopefully, all of you are ready. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Hello, hello. Let's see if we can get him on, and then we will go ahead and get started. Invite. Good morning. Make sure my camera is pointed in the right direction. Like always, if you all have any questions, where's the coffee? Yeah, I could definitely use a cup of coffee, but it goes right through me, so for a positive talk might not be a good idea. So let's see if we can adjust the light a little. Thank you. Let's see. Send the invite to Michael, and then we will go ahead and get started. Michael, are you able to send a request? Because it is telling me that I cannot send you a request. Let's see. Invite. Perfect. Let's see if it'll let me accept it on my side. There we go.
Hey guys, what's up?
How are you?
Doing awesome. Maybe I can do it like right here. There we go.
Perfect.
I appreciate it.
What was that?
Let me know if I'm
Can you
glitching.
hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome.
Can you hear
You're
me?
a little glitchy, but that also might be on my side too.
Okay, what I can do is hop on a different Wi-Fi. One is a little bit faster, and then we can use that one there. Too glitchy.
I mean, I'm perfectly fine with this one. I think that it's doing all right, so we should be good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if you're good with it, then I'm all good with it as well.
Awesome. So I will go ahead and let you introduce yourself so people know who you are, and then we can kind of jump into a discussion.
Okay, cool. I'm just a normal dude trying to live an extraordinary life. You know, I believe that life is so much more than what we see visually, but it's everything that we feel internally. And when we connect with our internal self, which means the source of our soul, the thing that animates us and gives us life, it can affect and change all the reality that we experience. So if we live off that, then we'll actually expand ourselves and live into life. But if we fail to connect through the timeline that we're here, it's contraction, death, disease, and everything else. So I'm just trying to open people up to connect with themselves.
Yeah, I do life coaching, and one of the things that I like to talk to people about is the fact that we are all born into different realities that are taught to us by our parents and the people that we're surrounded by. And a lot of times we see other people that are like really thriving, and we just don't understand why they are able to thrive, and we seem to be stuck in a repetitive loop of whatever we have been taught is our reality. And a lot of times it's just teaching people to like forget some of the realities that they have learned or been taught, and realize that they have the ability to see life in a different way.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. A lot of this goes with unteaching. You know, we've been taught so much stuff, which throws us into the reality that we experience, and we believe it. You know, once we put belief towards something, because everyone has faith. everyone has belief. Everyone believes something, you know. That's our programming. It's our iOS. It's our software of which we run on. So if we have the wrong software installed in the beginning, then life is going to be hectic and hard, and you have to hustle and grind and work for it and all this stuff. And you gotta, put the hammer to the nail. But whenever you understand that, nah, you were born into perfection, everything's already perfect, and we have all the abundance around us, then we can ease into the next sequence of life, and every step becomes more and more easier, and we grow. You know, a flower doesn't strive to grow. It doesn't really have to push against the dirt and like try to grow. A flower grows easily. You know, it grows so easily. We have weeds and flowers and trees all around us, but it's the humans that see it's so hard to grow, and we have to strive to make it to be on top. It's because of the programming that we've been taught, you know, from an early age, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your programming and when it comes to kind of realizing this shift and being able to kind of live in your own reality where you can thrive, when did you kind of notice that you could make that shift for yourself?
Oh man, from a very early age. So I have a crazy background. Ultimately, my parents were never there, so I spent a lot of time alone as a child from the age of like 5 all the way through about 16 years old. So in spending so much time alone, I had no brothers, I had no sisters, it was just me. I had video games and I love to play video games, but after a while, if you play the same video game over and over, it gets kind of boring. So I'm like, well, what else do I do? So I spent a lot of time contemplating, thinking, and just trying to find like, what is this that I'm in? Like, I was born into this world. I was like thrown into this, like, what is this thing? And then from that, I found different methods that work. I used to pray a lot as a kid. I used to be very Christian and stuff like that. And then I found, okay, prayer works. Why does prayer work? Is it because I'm saying something? Is it because there's a deity like listening to my thoughts and my voice? Or is it something else? And then I would just trial and error. I would test. I would pray and this would work. And then I would pray over here and this would not work. And then I found out about manifestation and law of attraction. I would try that and this wouldn't work and that wouldn't work. And then I just kept trying, and through different methods, I found out, okay, what's the perfect formula to constantly create the reality that I want without any impedance or hindrance. And I found out a lot of it's through what you feel. It's the feeling of, you don't have to pray. You don't have to put your hands together. You don't have to look up. You don't have to call out a certain God. It's what you feel that usually gives the building blocks for the experience that you're about to walk into. And that's been doing it since I was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm still learning too. Like there's just
yeah, I mean, when it comes to the belief system and believing you deserve the results that you are seeking, I think that it's so important for people to realize that once you believe you deserve something, like you can bring it into your life no matter what. It doesn't mean it comes like instantly, but it will find its way to manifest itself into your life. And a lot of times people don't realize that they say, I want this, but then their thoughts and everything inside their head are saying, but I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. People like me don't get stuff like that. And they say it verbally, but they don't realize that their body language and all their actions are literally pushing that away, because that belief that they don't deserve it is really just self-sabotaging you in so many different ways. And I mean, that's something that I picked up on, and that's something that I still to this day, when I see something that I really want and it's not coming to me, I'm like, okay, let's take a look and see what I'm doing to push this away. And once I kind of find that and remove it, it comes so much easier. And it's not like it's something that you learn and it becomes instantly easy. Like every new challenge that comes your way, you have to figure out which puzzle pieces you're using. But it definitely gets easier once you develop that mindset of the universe will give it to me if I want it, if I believe I deserve it, and I think it should be in my life.
100%. Man, you're so right. How did you stumble upon that and finding all this out?
I also had a religious background, and when it came to praying for things, when I really, really wanted something,
Yeah.
it always seemed to come, and it was so many different instances where like I never really told anyone. I never projected it. I never said it out loud. I just really believed and really thought hard, and that was the only thing that I focused on. I was like, this is going to happen for me. And when I started seeing that type of stuff just kind of manifest itself into my life, I was like, okay, so if you really believe that you deserve it, and I think that before we
Yeah.
started this live, we wanted to talk about like being selfish. And I think that overcoming that,
Yeah.
because I was taught that being selfish is a horrible thing to be. Um, and so anytime I wanted something for myself, I felt like I was being selfish and it was wrong. Once I kind of let go of that and realized that it's okay to want things for myself, because for us to be successful, for us to be able to give gifts to others, for us to be able to serve others with the gifts we're given, we have to be able to take what we need from the world and universe so that we can thrive and able to give those gifts.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And the funny thing is, this is a paradigm that many people may not have, but when you look at it, it's pretty accurate. Self is all you ever have. So no matter what you do, even if you do something sacrificing, it's for self. There's some sort of need or some sort of desire inside of you to do that action that you're doing, whether it's feeding the homeless or mentoring kids or whatever it may be. It's always self doing it, and there's some sort of self fulfillment in doing it. And if there was no fulfillment in it, the person would never do it in the first place. And it doesn't matter what it is, good or bad or positive or negative. Every person only does something because they feel a drawn or attraction or a desire to do it. So every action, even if it's done in good intent, is still selfish. So we might as well recognize that we can only be biased from self and operate in a life-giving mode from selfishness. And from that selfishness, through actualizing it, it's easier to manifest. We don't put hindrances in the way. We don't put blockades or these high standards of like, oh, I only deserve it, like you were saying, if I get 100 on my test, or if I do all this other stuff, if I feed 100 homeless people, then I deserve something good. Well, everything we want and desire, even in setting those standards for ourselves, is still selfishness. So when we can reflect on that, we understand that we're already here, we're already perfect. So let's go ahead and move and operate from that. And it's so much easier to make the world a better place, get rid of our hurt and our trauma, get past our insecurities, because that's the biggest, I think, problem in the world is how do I say this, is that we are so programmed to be insecure that we're not good enough, that we'll never make it, that, society tells us, school tells us, sometimes our parents say all this other stuff. And the securities is the reason for jealousy. Securities are the reason for hate. Insecurities are the reason for competition and trying to compete with everybody. Like, I'm good enough. Let me show you. I'll even sabotage you to make sure I win. I'm on top. I'm the boss. I'm a bad bee. All that derives from insecurity because the person is not secure with themselves because they haven't found self-love. And I believe continue to putting insecurities in the world is what's harming this planet. It's worse than pollution. It's worse than the money system. It's worse than anything else because everything stems from that. That's the seed, and I believe that's corrupting this world. But if we can heal ourselves of insecurities, I believe we're already on utopia. I mean, we go outside, the world's fruitful. There's animals, there's plants, there's food everywhere. But through insecurities, we try to say, no, there's going to be a food shortage. No, there's going to be higher interest rates and all this other stuff because people just want more because they feel like they don't have enough, because they feel like they're not enough. So, I mean, we can get into that if you want to, but that's I see the biggest problem with the world is having insecurities. And I still have some. I'm not going to say I'm like free of it, but I'm trying every day to like rid myself of these things.
Yeah. And I mean, if you can start to pick up on your own insecurities and heal those, like you are so well on the way of like living a life where you feel like the universe is just giving to you instead of you having to chase and grab whatever you can find. Because if you live in a life thinking that there's never going to be enough, like you will be in that mindset of survival mode, and you will sacrifice friendships and other things around you
Yeah,
because you will see someone that has something that you don't and think that because they have it, the only way for you to have it is taking it from them. And it's
exactly.
when you are, I always tell people, like when you are like living in the limiting beliefs, you're like looking at the ground and you're only looking at the things that you don't have. But if you would just look up like you would see the so many opportunities that exist for you and everyone else around you. And I always tell people, like, once you achieve that mindset, you start to see other people around you instead of the monsters that we project them to be, like people who steal and take from us and want to do us harm. We see hurt individuals that just haven't found like their own self-love and their own ability to realize that the world will give them whatever they want. And once you can kind of see that, when someone comes and screams at you, you're just like, they're having a bad day. Like they're not thriving right now. And you don't take it so personally because you already have that belief in yourself, and other people's words don't impact you. If you lose at a soccer game, you're like, good game. Like you played really well. You don't take it as
Yeah.
I'm a failure. I messed up. I'm horrible. No one's going to love me. You start to kind of see other people's worth, and you just want to celebrate everyone, because celebrating someone else doesn't mean that you're any less. It just means you're getting more time to celebrate because everyone deserves that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's awesome. And even what you said about the person who comes up and screams at you, like I have in my time, so many people who would just show hate towards me for whatever reason. I don't know why. They would have their own reasons to show hate towards me. Maybe it's because the lifestyle I live or whatever. And these people would come up and say XYZ. And I would be like, I being able to be past my own insecurities, it gives me clairvoyance and the ability to truly see what's happening in the situation. And I understand that these people don't hate me, they actually hate themselves. So whenever they do lash out at me, I don't respond at the same level that they're at. I look beneath the surface to see, okay, what's actually happening here? And then I address that. So if they show me hate or something happens there, I say, hey, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but are you okay? Is everything all right? Like, what's going on? And I'll talk to these people. And as I talk to these people, they'll still try to lash out and blame me for whatever is going on in their life. But I keep kind of like pressing out a little bit more. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, that might be accurate, but what if it's not? Are you okay? What have you been through? How's your day? And I'll even follow up with these people sometimes in like DMs. I'm like, hey, I hope you're having an amazing day. I love you, bless you, and I hope you just prosper. And then over the course of time, a lot of people, I've seen this so many times, who were once my haters, who would like spit just lies about me and say all this horrible stuff, would sometimes be my biggest promoters and my friends and my fans. They would like do a complete 180, and those same people would like comment on every post now and this and that, because I was never offended at what they said because I'm past my own insecurities, but I was able to love those people despite those people. Now, here's the part of being selfish. I wasn't loving them because I believed they deserve love. I was loving them because I want a better world. And I know selfishly, if I show love, it will transform their life, and then it will make the world around me a better place because more people will start operating in love. So I start showing them love, and now those same people who once hated me are now some of my biggest like yellers, like, oh my God, Michael's great, oh my blah, 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 all that stuff. But I just had to get past my own insecurities, be patient, not address what I'm seeing, but address the true like circumstance of what's happening, and then give it some time and some love, and then it completely changed the situation. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, when it comes to people who show hatred towards you, they are still giving you attention more so than someone who is focusing on themselves. So a lot of times, hatred, because they say that like love is an intense emotion that you feel, but hatred is an even more intense emotion. And you can't hate someone unless you love them. So when
Yeah.
someone has gone to the point of hatred, it's just an even more intense feeling of love towards someone, because if you don't care about someone else, then how could you possibly hate them? Like you can't hate someone that you don't care about. So in a lot of instances when someone is angry, when they're expressing that hatred, it's because they are somehow attracted to you in a way that they just love you so much, and they're not getting something, that it's turning into this even more intense emotion of hatred. And when I realized that, because I started thinking about the people that I kind of had that hatred towards, and then I was like, well, why do you hate them? And it's like, because I like this person so much and they don't care that I exist, because I think this person is so great and they made this judgment about me. And it's always about me having some type of feeling towards them and being hurt by not getting what I thought I deserved from them. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, so you can't hate someone
Yeah.
that you don't love. So I think that that's an important thing for people to realize too.
100%. I totally agree with that. Indifference is the biggest enemy of all, you know, because if things are just indifferent, then there is no love, there is no hate. But a person who passionately or vehemently hates you has the ability to be swung over to the opposite side because all those emotions are stored. And I think that, you know, with all this being said, it's the indifference that creates depression because people they aren't feeling that love, or they aren't feeling that passion. So therefore they don't have that life experience that we're placed here to experience. And that's when people are led into things like, you know, suicide and self-harm and self-hate and all this other stuff. So it's just like waking people up and like letting them tap into that emotion. I agree with what you're saying. I think it's better to hate than it is to be indifferent, because at least with hate, you're tapped into some sort of energy inside of you, some sort of passion. And then just through being shown the example, they can swing into a positive type of passion that leads to life, which is love itself. So that's really deep what you said.
Yeah. And people will always try to challenge me on that. Like, they will talk about people who completely oppose them in views and are doing things that you couldn't imagine a human being doing. And I was like, well, you hate them because you want them so badly to see things your way. You want
Yeah.
them to understand you, and
Yeah.
they don't seem to understand you. And I'm like, we because there are people in power that can make power moves that affect us in different ways. And I always try to get people to just dig a little deeper and understand their frustration, because a lot of times we focus on such
Yeah.
surface level things that we never dig a little deeper to understand why we feel intense emotions towards people. And like, even when you really love someone,
Yeah.
sometimes if you don't dig a little bit deeper, you don't realize that some of that love may be very unhealthy for you as well. And you have to like realize why this
Exactly.
emotion exists, because intense emotion drives us to do certain things. And sometimes it can do the opposite of what we want to happen. Like, we can love someone so much and push them away, because if you love them because
Yeah.
you're insecure and you feel like they will complete you and that somehow they will teach you how to love yourself, you will push that person so far out of your life because you didn't dig a little deeper and realize that the reason you wanted them to love you so much was because you don't love yourself. And that
Exactly.
can be a dangerous thing to have in your life, because you will push everything good out of your life because you don't realize that you're loving them so intently because you want to love yourself.
Dude, that's it. Like, that's the answer. I'm so glad you're sharing that message, because there is nothing higher that I've ever found than self-love. Because what you're saying, once a person actually loves themselves and they operate from a place of security and completeness, then they have the ability to heal others. But as long as there's a void there of insecurity, of lack of self-love, they'll always try to fill it with other things. And when they do, they make other people their God. Relationships are God, the husband, the wife, the girlfriend, the boyfriend, their God, their job, or anything else in life, their hobby. Oh man, I'm a pro this, I'm a pro that. And they lift this thing up. And eventually, because it always happens, that paradigm will be destroyed. What happens if the pro football player breaks his leg? What does he do? Where does he go? What happens if the husband or wife leaves? Because like you were saying, that person is making them their God, or like trying to fill that void because you complete me. You're perfect. Like what Disney promotes. Disney promotes all this fantasy, this like non-reality stuff of like, oh, this fantastic prince is going to come and save me, or I'm going to get this princess or something like that who I can XYZ. But really, we're the princess who needs saving. We're the prince who's going to come to the rescue for our own souls and our life. But anytime we try to make that outside of ourselves and putting that energy out there, then we still have that hole there, and eventually that paradigm is going to be broken, and it's going to shatter our reality and our world. It's a hard thing to go through. That's why, you know, divorce sucks so much. It sucks the life out of you because it was never set up in a way that was life itself. And you know, I'm in a polygamous relationship. I have multiple people in my lives. Right now I have 2 lovers who I travel the world with, and, you know, do fun stuff. And at times I've had, you know, six women in my life, and it was really awesome. They all knew about each other, so there's no like lying or cheating or going behind the back to try to cheat on one another. But we all love each other so much, and we saw each other as so great that we would push each other to have other people experience us, because, you know, like the women for me, they're like, hey, you're so awesome, we want other women to experience you, because we're so secure in ourselves. We don't want to just hold you to ourselves. We're not insecure. Go out there and experience the world. And same I with them. So whenever we had that relationship, and I'm not saying like everyone needs to be polygamous or anything like that, but what I am saying is, whenever you are secure in yourself, you're not trying to hold that person to you because of lack. Oh my God, well, this is my one, and what if they leave me and I can't have them finding another person? When you're complete in your life and in your relationship, you love that person so much that if there was somebody who's more compatible with them, or somebody who they came more alive with, you would actually push them to go be with them, because you actually love them and want the best for them. To truly love someone is to want the best for them, not what your own selfish desires are. Because if you really love that person, then they may have a job, you know, across the country or across the world. And if we're trying to hold them back, and we're trying to act in fear or insecurity and say, I can't live without you, I can't be without you, or, you know, hey, you signed this paper and you're married to me now, so like you have to stay here, then that's us acting in insecurity. It's going to create a life that's not compatible with living. And even if they stay here and they don't go, even if they don't go off to be with the other person or take that job or whatever, usually that person, if that energy that puts out is from insecurity, it won't be a life that's going into that person, that's flowing into them. And they'll start harboring resentment and doubt and saying, what if? And then when that breeds into a relationship, then that person's having to constantly convince themselves, no, I made the right choice. No, I made the right choice, versus it feeling so right. Like, oh, I know I made the right choice. And then give it some time, and it starts to fester and grow. And then by the end of it, those 2 people, or at least maybe the other person who didn't take the opportunity, will start to resent and hate. And now their actions will come out from resentment, from that hatred. And then the other person will be affected by it. Now they start hating each other, and it's going back and forth until there's a tear, which is called divorce. And it's like that with everything in our life. Anytime we make anything in our life our God, and we're not in it from completion of that full security within self, the energy that we put out will always create a reality that gives a feedback of, you know, depression, doubt, fear, worry, randomness, chaos, you know, because the only reason that random things happen is because we were unaware. We weren't aware that that would happen. Well, if we don't have clairvoyant, or if we don't have clarity within our vision or awareness, then all of a sudden our life is so random stuff's always happening, and we don't know why, and it's bad, and it could be good one day and bad the next. Well, when we operate out of love, we're more coherent, and we can see this reality, and we can see something coming from a mile away, so we can either catch it and fix it, or we can just create it and manifest it in a different way. And then through that awareness, our life becomes less chaotic and more organized. It's more structured. So when you walk and you live in the security, and you walk and you abide in that awareness, then all of a sudden chaos, hurt, harm, all the fear, and like car wrecks or whatever start to fade away. And then you start having a utopia experience every single day. And some people may say, well, life isn't perfect. Well, life is not perfect for those who are unaware, because this random stuff always happens. But when you harbor a life of security in love through awareness with consciousness, then all of a sudden your conscious field becomes more expanded and more aware. Then all of a sudden you can see what's going on, and you start creating a type of heaven on earth, to where, since you are in control of your consciousness in your life, you can start calling in sweet smells, sweet sounds, sweet people, to where everything in your life is so perfect and it's so beautiful. It's been, 365 days without an accident, to say, because your life has started harboring a heaven here on earth. And yeah, there's other people who can come in and do stuff, but it's all about our awareness. How aware are we? Accidents only happen because of unawareness, but if we can harbor that awareness through love, who's to say that we can't live a perfect life from today until the day that we pass, or however long, you know? And that's my goal right now, is what I'm attempting to do. I'm on a farm out in Ecuador with animals, living in a tree house, and I have these two beautiful women with me, and we spend all of our day in the sun and just enjoying the fresh air and stuff like that. And my goal is to create as much heaven on earth as possible, as much as my senses can see, smell, hear, taste, and feel. I want to create heaven and pleasure and bliss and peace, and it's happening. It's manifesting through that awareness, through that love, and through that security. Yeah.
I love that. And I think that when you were talking about kind of like when it comes to relationships with people, like a lot of times if you believe you own someone, that's when you start to push them away. Like if you
Yeah.
think that something belongs to you and you start to see it taking a different course, people who believe they own another person, they start to use manipulative tools to try to keep that person there. And in that journey, you will destroy what was so beautiful about that relationship. I always tell people the reason that love and connection is so beautiful is because that person is choosing you.
Yeah.
And if at any point you are manipulating them to stay, it destroys what was so beautiful about that relationship in the first place, because what made it beautiful was you were being chosen. And if you feel like you have to manipulate them to force them to stay with you, you are not in a beautiful, thriving relationship anymore. And it's not going to be enjoyable. Like, once you believe that you have to manipulate them to stay, then it's not worth having them there, because you're not going to get out of that relationship what you were getting before. And when you talked about like the Disney, like there's actually like in the Frozen 2 movie where Elsa like goes into the ice cave and the song is like, you are the one you were looking for all along. Like that sent chills up my spine, because
Yeah.
that was the first Disney movie that
Good. Yeah.
really was like, it's not someone else. It's always been you. You've been searching for yourself. It's always been you. And that like sent so many chills up my spine, because I was like, that's so true. Because
That's
that
what
was
it
a
does.
moment that I experienced within myself, was like, this whole time I've been like looking for something in the world, been reading so many books to try to find the answer. And when I finally looked within, like there was this like powerful feeling of, I've always had it. Like the person that got me through everything has
Yeah.
always been me. It's not been other people. Yeah, there have been people who've assisted, but those people assisted me because of me, who I was. And because I could have been a horrible, mean, rotten person, those people would have never come and helped me when I needed them. And I was like, oh, so
Yeah.
I need to start believing in myself a lot more, because any goal that I've got for myself, anything I want to accomplish in this lifetime, it's going to be here. Like, there's nothing else around me. And all I can do is feed myself more knowledge, more love, more connections and relationships with people. And by doing that, I can just continue to do more for the world.
Exactly. Exactly. Which is, like you're saying, when you be selfish and you fix you, you can be a better spirit, a better encouragement. You can be more effective in the world. And I definitely want to say this, that a lot of people ask me, hey, what's your favorite place that you've gone to? Because I've traveled quite a bit. And I said, you know what? The best place I've ever gone to is inside of myself, is inside of my soul, because that's where all beauty and perception lies. I can be in the Garden of Eden, but if I'm in a rotten attitude, all I see is negativity. All I see is bad. All I see is like spite, and I'm just mad at everything. I'm mad at the president. I'm mad at gas prices. I'm mad at food and all this other stuff. But whenever I find the Eden within inside of myself, then no matter what situation or place or anything I'm in, I see the good in everything. And whenever we see the good in everything, we see the opportunity in everything, and then we can leverage that opportunity to create a more abundant life for ourselves. So, it's always about, the classic saying, wherever you go, there you are. So don't change your location, change where you are inside, change who you are inside, focus on you. Because like you were saying, like trying to manipulate somebody just to stay with you, man, that's a lot of energy, bro. Like I don't have the energy to try to manipulate people to try to stay with me. Like if I'm not that cool, if you don't like me, just leave. Like I'm not, whatever. Like, my energy is placed elsewhere. I'd rather, be outside playing in the yard or playing with the animals and stuff like that. I don't have the energy to put out to try to make somebody like me. Like, and the crazy thing is this, like when I try to make somebody like me in the past or manipulate, I'm not being myself. So that means I'm keeping a person, or I'm trying to keep a puzzle piece on that's not fit for me. And there's so much force and pressure there that doesn't fit. And I'm like, but whenever I just say, okay, screw it, leave if you want to, I love you, I support you, love myself, be myself, then all of a sudden the people who actually like me for me come. And then I don't have to put out and it's so easy because people always ask me like, bro, how do you deal with having so many women in your life? Like I see you and you have all these people in your life all the time. And I'm saying, well, it's when you find the right people, they actually make life more easier. Like whenever I'm actually myself, and myself is what attracted these people to me. Now I'm not trying to be anything or trying to like impress them or anything like that. I'm just being the normal me, which is like net zero in energy. I don't want to put out any extra energy. I want to try to be something else or put out a little bit more. I'm just myself, and those people are attracted to me. They come, and at the same time, they support me and lift me up to help me be even more myself that I didn't even know I was. So it's just like, man, it all stems from like knowing thyself. Knowing thyself is the beginning of all things, And I love gods and I love religion and I love people who worship and try to put their energy, displace it outside of themselves. But man, you have to understand, you're the only you have. You may have never seen God. You may not ever be your wife or your husband. You're always going to be inside of this, at least while you're here on this plane. So you like and they don't teach this in schools. They don't teach this in college. I went to, obviously I went through school, I went to college and I went all this stuff, and no one's ever taught me how to know myself. It took deep meditation. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of energy and effort to find like, why do I believe what I believe? Because we're at such a bias. When we're programmed, it's like, we're so manipulated by society that I'm not even speaking my own language. I didn't make this up. So my thoughts are automatically in English, something that somebody made up, 1,000 or so years ago. So I'm already starting off by having a bias towards something that's not even myself because I'm not making up this language. So I have to even get past the language and the thoughts that I have in English to find out what's the interpretation of what I feel and where does that come from. Now I place that feeling into the language that I know, into the social setting that I'm in, into the environment that I want to create. And it takes, like you were saying, it takes quite a bit of energy to get there. But once you get there, it's hard in the beginning. But once you start tapping into it over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, you'll start living from that and it becomes first nature. And then once you live from that interpretation of your intuitive abilities, then all of a sudden you're manifesting without actually even thinking. You're getting what you want before you ever even have the thoughts. And whenever it comes to you, like, I didn't even know I wanted this, but now that I have this, this is exactly what I wanted. And then life just becomes easier.
Yeah. I think that like at the beginning, I was talking about like manifesting the things that I want into my life. And you were just kind of talking about when it comes to knowing yourself and the things that are meant to be for you will come into your life. Like
Yeah.
I've definitely noticed that there have been things where I put all my focus on saying that this is what I really want and I will get it. That doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
mean when I get it that it's everything I thought it was going to be. Sometimes you have to do some self-reflecting and ask yourself, in the process of getting this, did I lose part of myself, or is this my most authentic self? And did it come to me smoothly, naturally, healthily? And in a lot of ways, like there have been things that I've attracted that I said I really wanted. And once I got it, I was like, this is extremely toxic and not what I need.
Yeah.
And when I started flipping the script to saying, I'm just going to be me, I'm not going to create things that I think other people want to see from me. I'm going to be the most authentic version of me. And that's when I started creating
I
friendships
love that.
that I never knew I needed. I started bringing people and things and events and opportunities into my life that I never knew I was capable of having. And that's when I was brought to life. And I think that that's something that we have to realize is look at how you're focused on other things. Are you looking at something so far away and saying that is absolutely what I want and chasing after it, or just really focusing on one thing and avoiding and missing all these beautiful opportunities around you that would naturally be there? Like they always say, like there's that one person that would just be there for you no matter what, and you've got your eyes set on something that's running away from you just
Yeah.
because you want what you can't have. Be careful of that, because if you do sit and actually just be your authentic self, there are people out there that want you to be that. There are opportunities out there that are meant to be exactly constructed for you and who you are meant to be. And if you can start to center yourself around that, those things will start to like operate on the same frequency as you, and they will start falling into your lap. And I think that it's important for people to realize that sometimes when things are really, really hard, it's because we're chasing something that isn't meant for us right now. It doesn't mean it won't happen later, but sometimes there are things that you're doing so, like you're focusing on it so hard that you're missing so many beautiful opportunities to
Yeah.
enjoy and thrive in life.
Wow, that's really good. That's really good. Ultimately, in all this, I just want a better world. I want people to love one another. I want everyone to be happy. You know, I have a lot of people in my DMs coming to me saying how they're so depressed and, you know, how do I get past? I've been dealing with depression for this amount of time and all this other stuff, or someone just broke up with me, or hey, I'm going through a divorce. What do I do? And I believe that, you know, people have the ability to create this reality, but I want you guys to understand that you should love yourself no matter what. And when you actually love yourself, you will love other people. If you ever see yourself rejecting other people or saying no, or speaking down upon them or speaking bad towards them, it's actually a reflection of yourself. So if you ever think bad, like, oh man, that person's fat, or they're ugly, or they're stupid, or blah, blah, or any of this other stuff, understand that you are going to eat those words that you were speaking, because it's not actually that they are, because everyone's amazing, man. Everyone's so awesome. I have yet to meet a person that I haven't found interesting. Everyone has their quality. Everyone has something about them that's so unique and special and that I've learned from. So, you know, if you guys who are viewing ever find yourself belittling or thinking less of the people around you, that's a clear indication that you are insecure yourself and that you haven't risen to a point of full self-love to where you're overflowing in your own soul. Once you spend time in meditation to get to know yourself and love every aspect of yourself, whether you have a big nose or big ears or whatever, something you may not like about yourself, but you start to, you know what? Not everyone has big ears, so I'm blessed to have big ears. Or not everyone has a big nose. I love my big nose. I think that plastic surgery is one of the most horrible things that we can do to ourselves, because it's complete like denial of self. So once we start appreciating who we are in every form and fashion, then we can start overflowing. And even people we may not like, even people who may like annoy us or irk us, we start to see the beauty inside of them, and then we can show that love. And then once we show that love and we be a loving person and we love those people, again, not because of them necessarily, because they deserve it, because I do believe everyone deserves love, but we're loving them because we ourselves are love, and that's who we are. If you call me a derogatory name, you know, if you call me the N-word, or you call me B, or you call me whatever you want to call me, I'm not making my next statement based on you and who you are, because that would mean I would live your life and you're my God and you're dictating me. I'm now basing my next words, my verbalization on who I am. So if you call me the N-word, I will still show you love, because I myself, Michael Ferguson, I am love. And that's all I can be. And once I am who I am and I am that love, my words have the ability to change their life, versus their derogatory words making me more insecure and changing my life. You have a shield and a sword of love. So when things come to you, you love yourself, so it blocks it. And when you speak out, you are love. So then you slice it and you start chopping away the insecurities of the other people. When you do this process, I don't care if who you are or what the situation is, you will break their defense down. It may take more than just one day or one interaction or two interactions or three interactions. It may take longer than 6 months. But every person who you will actually show love, it's almost like a Care Bear. You're just like beaming love towards them. Some people are more built up than others, but you keep showing them love. I love you. 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 Eventually, they will come to their senses like, oh my God, like, who is this person? What's going on? And they will start to question their own reality. When these people start to question their own reality, their paradigm, their ideology will start to shatter and say, oh, I thought all black people were like this. Oh, I thought all white people were like this. Oh, I thought all, muscular people or these people or this group of people, Republicans, Democrats were like this. And you break down that wall of defense, and then it starts to cultivate seeds inside themselves, and you can harness and you can harbor that, and you can start making them grow. And then you can, in a sense, start cloning a love army, and you can change the world and you can make it a better place, because who doesn't want to live in heaven? We make complete religions about, when we die, we get 70 virgins, or whenever we die, there's the 144,000 who are saved, and all this, like, we make all religions pretty much center around heaven. But what's not really preached is whenever you do this method that I'm expressing here, you can create heaven on earth. And then all of a sudden your environment becomes pleasing. You start to live in utopia. You start to live in bliss. And you're doing it because you selfishly want to live in a better world. So you will selfishly show love to people who may not even deserve it, because you expect this reality that you're experiencing to be pleasant, because you only have 70, 90, maybe 120 years here. They may well be an awesome and amazing 120 years. The best, that when you go to heaven, man, you're saying, dude, this is what I was experiencing on earth, because we can have it. We can have heaven now. We are in heaven right now, but it's up to us to be the love. I'm not letting them dictate who I am. I am who I am, and I'm going to impose it on people whether they like it or not. I'm going to be love. I'm going to compliment. I'm going to show love, because I know that nothing I do is ever in vain. So maybe some words of encouragement for you guys. If you're experiencing a reality that's not pleasant or pleasing, start with the inside and go past those insecurities. And then every instance you have, show love and be love, not trying to be, but that's just who you are. So it's automatically, and that's what comes out. But if you're having a hard time being love, it shows that there's some sort of like miswiring inside of yourself to where you haven't dealt with an insecurity yet. So just spend some time in meditation. You don't have to go out and try to change the world now and don't try to change the world. Change yourself and flow from a state of love that's effortless. And then once you are, when you go out into the world, it will automatically change around you. People can't help but to say like, dude, you're such a loving person. I can't be mad at you anymore. Or you're so awesome. Like, what do you do? And they'll ask about you. And that place comes from a state of effortlessness, because now you just are who you are. So I hope that helps you guys, because we're talking today for y'all, and I hope that this helps y'all, because obviously, bro, you know what you're talking about. You are hitting some very deep points that I don't get to speak with the people, so the viewers, like, if you guys can understand that, man, be that love army and then change the world through effortlessness.
Yeah. And realize that when it comes to, because you were talking about living in different places, like I've now lived in 9 states. And one thing I realized is it's not the different places that you live that make you happy. It's the mindset. There can be someone that lives in the same city as you that you say is the worst city in the world to live in. Everything's disgusting. Everyone's hateful. And then someone standing right next to you can say, oh my God, everyone in this city is so nice. Everyone is so kind. There's so many opportunities. And people are like, that's why I never ask someone like, oh, how is this city? Whatever their interpretation will not be the same as mine. And it's important for people to realize that. And it's just like thinking about high school. You can ask me how my high school life went, ask someone else the exact same thing, and we all lived in our own realities, and it was
Yes,
in
yes.
here that we were all living. Like, we were all in here. So when you ask someone how a certain place is, what you're asking is, how are you in here? And you're never going to get in there. So don't
Yeah,
ask how that was. Like, I don't ask people how a movie was, what food tastes like, because it's all a unique individual experience. And I think that that's something that a lot of people don't realize. And when you have a mindset, you create that environment. The people around you are going to be like-minded people. So if you've been in a very negative state of mind, you might need to make an extreme shift where you end up walking away from certain people in your life, where your job might need to change. Because if you're in a certain mindset long enough, you've attracted so much that aligns with that mindset that, of course, that's the reality you live in. But you can also realize that you are a very powerful force, and all you have to do is shift your mindset, and a lot of that stuff will also just move. You
exactly.
don't have to be the one that moves, because if you change your mindset, if you no longer talk negatively about other people, if you no longer complain about how horrible your life is, the people that like to do that won't feel comfortable being around you. And realize that you also have the power to put that into other people's perspectives as well. So if people around you are that negative, if you change your gears and switch to positive and say, you know what, I'm going to start complimenting people instead of tearing them down, that is a powerful
Yeah,
force that will start to infect other people around you. And your workplace that once was this miserable black hole that you never wanted to go to becomes a place where you can thrive. So
yes,
a lot of people don't give themselves enough power. They always wait for someone else. They're like, I'm waiting for a hero. I'm waiting for someone to change. I'm waiting for someone to compliment me and make me feel better. Sometimes you just have to start it and create that space, and then it will just grow around you. And I think so many times we forget that power that we have, because we think that the power comes from others. And I learned that a long time ago, I used to like think a compliment from a superior or a compliment from someone else meant so much to me, not realizing that a compliment from me to someone else meant just as much. We forget that. And we forget that in our
yes,
relationships and friendships with people. Like, we get to a point where we're like, those people know I love them. But verbally, the only things that we're saying are the things that we think they should change or they should be better at. And we don't realize that we're
mm,
destroying a beautiful connection, because we think in our head, oh, they know I love them. But then we send
yeah,
judgment their way and don't balance it out with, hey, I really appreciate you for this. You're really beautiful here. We start keeping that inside and start critiquing more. And we just have to be better at balancing it out, because critiques can make us better. But if all we ever give out is critiques, people start to fall away from us because they don't feel
yeah,
connected anymore.
100%, 100%. That's some great advice. That's some great advice to live by. Be the thermostat versus the thermometer. You know, be the one, be the first domino that sparks the reaction. Be the change. You know, I have this tattoo on my back here, and it says creator, because I understand that I'm the one who creates the environment. I'm the one who creates the situation. Back in the day, I used to go to parties and stuff like that, and the party was lame. I wouldn't be like, man, this party's lame. I would get up and start dancing and start like making people move, and I would create the hypeness that I want. So anywhere that we go, since we're creators, and I don't think people understand this, but the United States of America sees each individual as a sovereign entity. That means we declare and decide our own rules within of ourselves, and we have our own laws that we can abide by, because we are registered as an entity and as a corporation. So we have our own standards of which we abide by, recognized by the U.S. government. That's powerful, people. That's the government recognizes us as an entity and a power. So we can take that and use that and understand that we're creators. So anywhere we go, if and this is what I don't like when people say, man, that's a toxic environment. Well, if it's a toxic environment, you should be the base, or you should be the alkalinity that comes in and changes the environment. or man, they're so negative. If they're so negative, you can be the change that comes in and brings the positivity, because you're a creator. You create the environment, you set the tone, and it's a lot of responsibility. But once you understand this, you're the one who makes life. It's your choice. So if you ever come to something that you are not pleased with, be the pleasure that makes the situation. Don't wait for it to come to you. Don't wait for somebody to please you, like you were saying, give you a compliment. You be the starter. You be the fire starter. You be the spark that sets the world ablaze, and be the passion. You're a creator. So be it. Be a creator.
Exactly. Exactly. 100%. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't see it happening in the world already, be the one that starts it. Like, there's nothing that stops you from that.
100%.
You don't have to have thousands and thousands of followers to make a difference. Sometimes you just need your one voice and a persistent voice going forward, and people will find you.
Exactly. Post
Awesome. Well,
positive stuff. Say
I
positive
see
stuff.
that we
Go out.
have gotten close to.
Yeah. Compliment some stranger today,
Yep.
or like, they say nice stuff to your spouse. Start right now. Don't wait till tomorrow. Start doing something right now that's going to change and impact your environment, so you can start to live in a little piece of heaven here on earth.
Exactly. And I see that we've gotten close to the end. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for jumping on and doing this live with me. I saw you on TikTok live the other day, and you were absolutely amazing. I knew that this conversation would be amazing. We'll definitely have to do another one soon. Keep doing what you're doing, and
Yeah.
definitely stay connected.
All right. I love you. Thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor to be here. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And if you have any questions, you can ask them on my profile or DMs. And this is my life. I've dedicated all to this. So I'm here for you guys. Even though we've all never met, I love you and I care for you, and I want you to prosper and succeed in all that you do. May you have a blessed day.
Awesome. Have a good one.
Bye.